is Eric Hendrum, and my chapter is called Literally a Servant. And I started out with some character development. There's only 4 characters in my chapter. It was Perot, Colonel Race, Louise, Lynette Servant, and Simon. And so there wasn't very many physical actions throughout the scene. It was more conversational. So I had kind of a lot of detail on my characters because I couldn't really show how anything was happening without more of some facial expressions. So this was Perot, and this is Colonel Race. It's a little bit skinnier. And this was Louise. Throughout the scene, Louise, she says that if she wouldn't have gone back to her cabin, she could have seen the assassin. So I just left her face blank because it kind of shows that she didn't see, or I guess she did see, but she really, what she's saying is that she didn't see who the assassin was. And then this is Simon, and Simon, he's laying down on the bed the whole time, and his leg is shot. So I just had him in bed, and just kind of played around for the first time I was making this. I made everything with lines, and I forgot that I had to fill everything, so I kind of had to redo some stuff. And for my first scene, Colonel Race and Perot, they walk into the room and find Simon laying unconscious. So I made the room and changed the bed to make it more centered to look like Simon was the center of attention, kind of, and we're just seeing Simon for the first time. So I added the characters, and I guess Simon's unconscious, so I just left his eyes closed, and I guess try to make their expressions kind of like not too worried, but at the same time a little concerned about Simon because he might be dead, I guess. So I added in the colors, and I chose these colors because in the movie there really were only a couple colors that were shown. It was blue and tan, so I included those, and there wasn't really very much tension, so I thought that those colors were kind of great colors also because there wasn't very much tension throughout the scene. And for my second scene, I changed the angle a little bit, made the bed a little bigger, and it's where Perot tells Simon for the first time that Lynette is dead. So I made him kind of go up in his bed, kind of surprised to find out that information. And Perot was holding up like a scent thing that he used to wake up Simon. This is my second scene. And for my third scene, Louise walks into the room, and she tells Perot that she didn't know that Lynette was going to be killed, and Perot was kind of questioning whether or not she would be reliable. And Simon was kind of anxious, I guess, trying to show that because Louise was going to blackmail Simon. So try to make some expressions on his face, and also trying to show Perot, kind of question why Louise would say if she would have been on the other side of the boat, she could have seen the assassin. So it's my final first scene, final second scene, and final third scene.
Well, obviously, like, very good job with creating the characters and moving around the perspectives. That makes it a lot more intriguing to look at. The only thing I would recommend, although it lets anything crazy happening, kind of find like a meaning behind your colors. I mean, that I feel like you can figure something out with that, but otherwise I think it looks awesome.
Caleb?
I noticed some shapes didn't exactly look simplistic like what we were supposed to use, like with Burrow's hair. What exactly was used to make that?
I used a circle and then like stretched out the lines of the circle.
Yeah, that's legit, it's kind
Is
of
that
like the,
allowed?
it's kind of like the bulge of a mother in Little Red Riding Hood. How I said you could kind of dent them or superimpose one over another and get them that way. There probably wasn't another way to go about it, but it's legitimate.
I think we could do something like that.
What I'm wondering, can we see this is a little larger, would you pull the slider over? It doesn't matter if we don't see the first ones, if we can see, because you've got all the bottom ones there. So, yeah, make them bigger, pull it farther, so until we only have 3 there, and then use the slider on the right on there and see if we can get down to the last 3. So because it's hard to see the details on it. Other questions and comments before I continue?
Preston?
Was there a reason why you have your horizontal plane, like they're almost in the height, most of them are kind of in the same exact area? Like, was there a reason why you did that? Or?
I just try to represent a room because all the scenes are inside the room, so I try to make it look right. Yes.
Can you click on the second one and make it a little bigger? Like in the slide view.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say with this, I know how in the other two, Colonel Race was always in the back, so he was in a smaller perspective. But I think here you should enlarge him a little bit because he is in the front of the scene.
I really think one thing, and this holds for all 3 of them to a greater or lesser extent, is we don't have the sense of being in this cramped stateroom. You know, it seems to be much larger than it is. And so you might want to enlarge all the figures. I mean, as long as they're all hooked together in PowerPoint, it's not that difficult to enlarge them. And you can decide whether you want Ray standing in front or behind Poirot too, because that will impact the way the composition of things looks overall.
Yeah, I think that'll help make it look more cramped, because
Mhm.
in the movie it is a really small room.
Yeah, because the staterooms always are there. Okay, other questions and comments?
Michael?
Can you go back to not percenter view, the whole entire views? Okay, so one thing that's kind of, I guess you could say, kind of bugging me is your location of your bed in all 3 scenes. In the first scene, it's kind of in the middle of the room, and then the second scene, it's on the left side of the room, and then in the third scene, it looks like it's on the right side of the room. I would try to make it so it's a little more consistent location. At least, I know it might make a certain area may feel heavier, but at the same time, it feels like they just moved the bed around a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I think also if we take some of the space out of these, we'll be even less bothered by that, because really we could switch our point of view position in the room, but overall, I think it's just a little too spacious there. Now, you see anything else that you want to comment, or question, or suggest, or what?
Sam?
One thing, since it is supposed to be the same room, in your final one, the floor and ceiling are black and that back wall's white, but then final 2, you switched it to where the wall is black and the floor is white, and then 3, it's tan wall, black floor. So just to keep it consistent, maybe change all of them to like white floor, black wall, or vice versa.
Except that we don't necessarily have to be looking at the same wall each time either. You know, I mean, the walls don't have to be the same color for that reason, but you might want to give it some more color.
I guess the reason I did that was because I just wanted, like, I guess if I included, like, I guess, like, blending colors together with, like, the person's outfit, just trying to make it stand out more. Cassie?
My suggestion is like, when you make the room smaller, maybe also add some extra stuff in there so it's more cluttered a little bit. So it seems like it's really more confined because like, there's all these characters in this tiny room and like a whole bunch of stuff too. Because in the movie, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the room as well, so.
As far as the room is concerned, we could be looking at different walls in each one of these, and the walls can have different colors. The question is, when you switch to the white floor instead of the black floor, does that disturb our continuity, or is it just something we can overlook because of something else? So as far as the color is concerned there, and I think we've covered pretty much what we need, have a sense of it being less spacious. Is there anything else?
Connor?
I think that because of the white background of the white floor, I think it would benefit you if you had more objects in the rooms to make it look a little bit more complete. I think that with the white floor and the white background, it just feels a little bit empty to me.
So I was just wondering why you had all the characters wearing blue and the other Poirot wearing the tan, and what was like your reason for that? Like why wasn't Poirot blue and the other people tan?
I guess in the movie, everyone else is wearing darker colors and Poirot is wearing this kind of khaki color.
It does make him stand out because he is the person who's going to solve it all. I like the color scheme and the observation that we're dealing with different neutral tans and different blues in that film, because you've got water, you've got sand, and when you go to the interiors, they're somehow trying to evoke that exterior Egypt inside a lot of the rooms. But I think I would like to see just a little further re-envisioning of Louise in the last one. Louise is standing there putting on an act, right? And she's being very careful about what she says. I wouldn't mind seeing her on a stage in the middle of that. I mean, we need to somehow really get that point that she is putting on an act. And of course, then Simon will speak up very loudly, you know, to signal Jackie to get rid of her. But I'd like to see Louise enhanced in that last one, and the others are matters of tweaking. I think you have some good ideas going here, and I love the characters themselves. They're really